Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Tutor Assessor Connections, all focused on delivering the non-formal levels of the programme. My name is Jamie and I work for Young STEM Leader at CERC, and I'm delighted to see the tutor assessors we have with us today. This session is being recorded, so it will be available to view after the session, and you might be watching this session on recording as well, so welcome if that's one of you. Today's session will last about an hour, perhaps slightly less than an hour, and it's all focused around delivering the non-formal levels of the Young STEM Leader programme. So hopefully you'll leave today's session with some ideas and tips about how you might deliver the programme in your own centre, or how you might support the delivery in yours or another centre as well. We're going to be talking today about the way that Young STEM Leader is being run, but there's also a lot of support out there to help you think about how you might start running Young STEM Leader during these times with remote learning and lockdown. We've produced some guidance on our website, youngstemleader.scot. It should show up as a wee orange bar on the website. So if you have any kind of questions about, how does certification work, or how can my young people lead learning remotely? If you don't learn that today, which I'm sure you will, you can check out our guidance and other resources that we have on our website to help you, and you can always get in touch with us as well. So please take a moment to say hello in the chat if you haven't already. Tell us who you are and where you work and what you're up to with Young STEM Leader, how you're feeling today maybe as well. And I'll tell you about our 4 fantastic speakers that we've got for you. So first up, we have Anita Webster from St Marnock's Primary School in Glasgow. We'll then hear from Claire Smith, who's in the Family Learning team at North Ayrshire Council. We'll then move on to hear from Tanya Howden from Hearts of Midlothian Football Club in Edinburgh, and then finish off by hearing from Eileen McLeod from Charleston Academy in Inverness. If you have any questions during any of these presentations, you can just pop them in the chat box, or you can wait till the end and we'll come to the questions at the end, and we'll have a bit of a discussion with our panelists. Towards the end of the session, we'll have a short group task that will be led by myself and Graham, where we'll be thinking more about ways to deliver Young STEM Leader and any support that you might need. And then we'll come back and finish up, hopefully just before 5 o'clock. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to our first speaker. Dr. Anita Webster is Principal Teacher at St Marnock's Primary School in Glasgow, and is also one of our Associate Regional Trainers and Verifiers for the Young STEM Leader programme. So if you're based in the Glasgow area, Anita might be a good person to know to contact about Young STEM Leader going forward. So it's over to you, Anita, and I will stop sharing my screen so you can share yours. Thanks.
Thank you, Jamie. It sounded very, very professional, all these titles and everything. I've never had it all these compacted together. Thank you.
Glad you like it.
Yeah, I do. So, hello everyone and welcome. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Hopefully it's going to work. We tried this before. There we go. And I'm going to put this in. Is it okay? Jamie, can you see?
Looks good, yep.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about a little bit how we started and all the successes, which obviously we like to boast about, but also I'm going to talk a wee bit about the challenges which we are facing just now. But I think these are the challenges everybody is facing just now because of lockdown and all this online learning. So we started, there we go. So even the application process was challenging because when I started to think about it, to get the children invited who are in second level, so I was mainly thinking about it as a leadership program, primary 6 and 7s. And previously I led numeracy leaders in the school, so I thought I'm going to run it like a committee kind of thing. The children, either it was in September, just the school just opened, so there were lots of children who were self-isolating. Then we had whole classes self-isolating, so we had for 2 weeks both the primary 7s and the 6s self-isolating. So I just thought, I'm not going to wait for everybody to come back. We are using CISO as an app, so I just posted an app, posted as a task that there will be this Young STEM Leader program. And I made up slides, I showed pictures about the log, and I created a a form where they could apply to be part of it, and I did a QR code and everything, and I thought, just let's go for it. And surprisingly, I had children who liked the idea and came back with the application form. Also, when all the classes were back, I just run during lunchtime an information session, just that the children know what it's really about and the commitment. And obviously, when children realize that sometimes they need to give up their lunch breaks, that was a wee bit of a thing we had to overcome. There is not that many lunch breaks. They wanted to rather miss math and numeracy and come to being a STEM leader than miss their lunch breaks, obviously, but we managed to gather 12 young STEM leaders, and we were very happy. We got the badges, we got the pens, and they are very, very proudly wearing them. So the first big thing we did was during the Young STEM Leaders Week. And I created the PowerPoint regarding the badges, so I can go through what kind of activities we did regarding the Inspire, the Create, the Lead, and the Discover badges. So the Create badge, running up for Young STEM Leaders Week, the children thought, why don't we start to launch a STEM Marnox newsletter? And how we did the newsletter, we looked at the 4 badges. So as you can see on the slide, there are a Discover badge, Create, Inspire, and Lead. So there were young STEM leaders who took on a section of the newsletter. For the Create section, they thought a math activity would be very good. For the Inspire section, they were researching inspirational people in STEM who they were writing about, and for the Lead, they announce what kind of activities they are going to lead and in the coming months. So we did an edition in October, November, we didn't do in December, and obviously we did January, so hopefully we can continue this, but at the moment it's just a wee bit of a challenge to get the children to write for the newsletter. Regarding the Create badge, there are these pictures when the children led activities. The first one was a math club. Obviously, they felt at the beginning that that's what they felt being confident regarding. Some of them were numeracy leaders, so they thought, oh, why don't we run a math club for primary 3s and primary 4s? So some children chose that. And there are really good activities. So if you want to just to suggest for the children or even for yourself, STEM Glasgow produced with the Read, Write, Count bags for primary schools activities, STEM activities, which go with the books. So the children use that first, and that gave them an idea, but also as a first experience, they didn't feel that is just so overwhelming how to lead an activity for primary 3s and primary 4s when I'm a primary 6, for example. I'm going the wrong way. Discover, the STEM.org website, the big STEM learning website, has got really good resources regarding STEM discoveries. So when the children were looking for what kind of STEM discoveries are there, we were looking at accidental discoveries. So they were researching and they found it very, very interesting how, for example, the microwave oven was discovered, or the pacemaker, the Play-Doh. And after we created an audiobook, so the children typed in and found pictures about the discoveries, and we put it together as a book, and they also narrated all these discoveries in the book. The other thing we were doing as looking at STEM jobs, part of my remit is developing the young workforce, so that tied in very, very well, looking at STEM jobs. And currently I'm posting on CISO using the My World of Work website to look at different aspects of STEM jobs. So it can be a web designer, you can see a CAD technician, environmental consult, some of the green jobs. We looked at immunologists, what they are doing. So there is a very, very wealth of information there. You can direct the children, even during remote learning, to go and research for STEM jobs. During the Young STEM Leaders Week, one day was focusing on inspire. So the children were researching about inspirational people, and then they dressed up. So we had Marie Curie, we had Katherine Johnson, we had Neil Armstrong, we had Florence Nightingale, we had Jane Goodall, James Watt, and Xing Wang, and it was just lovely to see the diversity of the STEM jobs, and the personalities and the characters, and how the children just try to find resources at home or even in the school, like the Globe, just to get dressed and just be that person. And when we went around the school, and they were talking about the successes of these people, and also why they were inspired by these people. They really loved it. It was a very, very big success. One of the primary twos, who is famous about cannot sit on the chair, was just constantly fidgeting. And when the girl who was dressed up as Marie Curie said that Marie Curie is very famous because she discovered radium, and then we use it as an X-ray, he gladly said that it's very, very good because he had to go to the hospital a lot because he broke his arm, and then they did an X-ray. And while he said that, he fell off the chair. So that was really good. Lead. As I said, the children were leading math clubs and using the Glasgow STEM resources, a picture atlas. They were looking at what animals and plants are in different biomes and around the different areas in the planet. And that was good because the primary threes, they were just learning about biodiversity. So that link, the teacher was very, very happy because that just linked with their current learning. And that was the math club they were leading with the primary fours. And during Book Week Scotland, the young STEM leaders, again, they chose two books. One was The Rocket Mole, that was a primary two book, and they were, after reading the book, the young STEM leaders read the book, discussed it, and after they were creating catapults for the mole to go to space. And the primary threes, they read the book Wow Animals, and they tied in with measuring. That was the focus in math that week. So they researched after that, for example, an ostrich or a tiger, how long or how high, and then they went outside and they used a meter stick to measure, or they lie down and compared their own size to an ostrich or a crocodile, the length of a crocodile. Before Young STEM Leaders Week, our school have been chosen to do a STEM VIP interview with a marine conservationist officer, Catherine Gamel, and it was a very, very great experience. And we are very, very happy because we can use this relationship just or partnership just now, because the primary sixes, they are looking at sustainability, the sustainable development goals 15, life below water, and they are talking about a lot of pollution and all the things. So I'm trying to get in contact with Catherine as a STEM ambassador, just to, when we are back in school, to do a wee bit of an online talking and presentation for the class. And last but not least, also our school did a wee video. The children did a wee video about the verification process, how to go about for the young STEM leaders. But as I said, I don't just want to talk about the success we had, but also about the challenges which we face just now, because as I set up, and I said it in the beginning, I was thinking more of a committee or a club type of thing, and the children were coming from different classes. So now during lockdown, what we are missing, and that's what we were talking about with Jamie and Graham, that the aspect of collaboration or group work, or just talking, the children are talking and sharing their experiences, that's really what is missing. And even we can post, or I can post thanks for them, you know, to research on the internet about discoveries or different STEM job or inspirational people to achieve the badges, but that part of the collaboration is what is missing. Currently, we started to explore around Teams meetings with the classes, but again, I can pop in to a class, but the children are just only those children are involved on that channel who are in the same class. So gathering the whole team together, that is a big challenge I try to overcome just now. And if there is any questions, I think I've talked more than 7 minutes, Jamie, I'm sorry. Did I?
It's okay. It was really interesting, and I've allowed a bit of flexibility. So it was lovely to hear about all your young STEM leaders.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for speaking. If anyone has any questions for Anita, you can pop them in the chat and we'll come to them later on, or you can wait until the last person spoken and you can ask, unmute your mic and ask. So great. And if you do want to see that amazing video that they've produced about verification, then you can come along to our verification webinar this Thursday, and we'll be showing that video there, so you get a chance to see it in real life. All right, thanks, Anita. We'll move swiftly on to Claire Smith. Claire is a principal teacher from the Family Learning team in North Ayrshire Council. They were actually one of the first centres to complete YSL 2 in this academic year, which is absolutely fantastic. So it's over to you, Claire, to tell us all about it.
Okay. Just let me share my screen. So I'll talk while I'm trying to find this again. So my name is Claire Smith, the principal teacher from the Family Learning team, and we came across the Young STEM Leader partly due to the popularity of our family STEM programmes. And when school closures happened, we used it as an opportunity to be trained as Young STEM Leader Assessors. So we're a family learning team of 13 family learning workers who are attached to all primary and secondary schools across North Ayrshire. And we decided to use our STEM leader in a different way. Normally we would work with families in school and do programmes together, but due to families not being allowed in school, we had to think and adapt to a delivery model. So we worked with young STEM leaders in schools. So we had I can't remember, 11 schools in total that were interested, where we worked with the children in the afternoon to give them the input on the Young STEM Leader badges, and then for them to lead the STEM at home. So I'm just going to show, this was the last newsletter that collated everything that we were doing. So we're running this, the Young STEM Leader Award 2 in the primary schools and piloting level 3 in one of our secondary schools. The secondary schools were young people who were not in literacy, so it was quite a challenging class, and it's taken us longer to go through the programme with them, so we're very early stages with that group. With the other schools, we had 4 of those schools who completed just before Christmas and have managed to gain their award, and we have some schools who've just got a few more sessions left to do and tidying up the logs. So we are looking to see how we can work with those children remotely. So as a team, what we did is we had a STEM working group who created a 2-week program for each of the badges, PowerPoints, going into school and working with the children to research and to look at what activities they would do at home to promote STEM. We also had a big bank of experiments because we worked very closely with the Principal Teacher of Science in North Ayrshire to create lots of different programmes. We had Harry Potter STEM, we had engineering challenges. So we had a bank of resources that had PowerPoints and videos for the children to look at how they wanted to lead that at home, but also gave a resource for parents to look at, so that when the children were coming home to lead it, the parents knew what resources were needed and how they were going to support their child with that at home. Each week Our intention was that families would all receive a phone call, but some schools, family learning workers are in 4 schools a week, so they had one programme where he helped 16 children, so it actually became a bit impossible to have those phone calls every week happening. So we prioritised the families either that were struggling, or we would just kind of give them a mix of text. But each week families received an email: this is what your children covered, this is what they'll be leading at home, and any resources that they would need. In the schools, if we try to make everything really low cost and things that are in the house, so anything that wouldn't be available at home, they would go home with that in their pack. Next page. So this is really just some examples of what the children and the parents said about the programme. If you notice, there's a wee moving video, that was some children had adverts to make, they had different videos. So my husband's just walked in, so Daniel, I'm on a presentation, Joyce, I'm working from home. So the children got to use technology at home, sending in WhatsApp, creating adverts that were shared on Twitter. And the children won one of the prizes from YSL to get some vouchers for Amazon, so we used that to make STEM learning at home packs. But the children really enjoyed doing the experiments at home, and they really enjoyed being the leaders of the learning. The longer term goal was that the children in each school would become STEM leaders within their school. So although we were doing it as the family learning, the school would then utilise those children as a resource to promote STEM. And when schools went back in the summer, we were looking to do a big family celebration where the young STEM leaders would plan what that family celebration would be like to promote STEM. So that is still in the back burner. What we're looking to possibly do just now is look at how we can bring those children that have been part of the YSL to create some of our online programmes. So coming back from the school closures, I'll just move them on so you can have a read while I'm talking. So moving on from the school closures, coming back in December, we have been doing testing online live programmes, and we did a STEM programme and an outdoor learning programme, and we chose those on purpose because this year we were piloting the Young STEM Leader and the Family John Muir Award. So we have just completed a 3-week family fun STEM, and with those families we've asked anyone who is interested in the Young STEM Leader. So from that we have 19 families who are interested in the YSL2 and the YSL3. So from the fall, not next week, but the following week, we're going to try and deliver this through an online platform. So in North Ayrshire we have VCs, so we're able to bring lots of different schools and children together and families together. So we'll be looking at how we can take our resources to an online platform and help families complete that in their own time. I've got a little video here, and I'll just talk a wee bit about how we measure the impact. So we are funded by the Scottish Attainment Challenge Fund, and any programmes that we do in schools we measure against the Shinari Wellbeing Indicators. So for this programme, the 3 that we focused on were included. So we were trying to help families still feel included in the school community even though that they weren't able to come into school. So that was about the children taking the learning home and having support from the family learning team. Our nurture is about families interacting positively through playing interactions, so that's through their STEM activities at home. And the achieving is for parents and carers to understand how their children are learning in school and how they can support that at home. This has been a really interesting way for us to deliver family learning, because normally families would be learning together, whereas actually now the children are going home and leading that learning. So if you can see from, we've had really positive responses. We haven't collated all of our evaluations because not all programmes are finished, but out of the 31 families that have been asked, they all agree that this met their needs, and if you look, it strongly agree. What they found is that their children's confidence was really improving. One of the parents said to one of the family learning workers on the phone that their children were talking about stereotypes and they didn't know what stereotypes was, so they found that a really interesting conversation with their children. So since then we've been working quite closely with Education Scotland to look at how we can improve the gender balance. I know there's a bit of work going on with for the Young STEM Leaders as well, so we're really excited to be part of that. So this is just a little just now video of just kind of an overview of what we were doing in one of our schools. So families were just asked to send in any video clips or pictures.
It's working because the lemon has some citric acid in it. And when the lemon is mixed with a turn of soda, it creates something that we call a chemical reaction. Do you like experiments? Would you like to change the world? Science is all around us, and scientists are helping to make the world a better place. Come join us. Hi. Would you like a job where you can earn money time plus time? Why don't you try and become a software engineer? You can design tools and input, reform, Minecraft, and more else. Software engineers use all the elements of STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and maths. And you even get to test out the games.
Yeah, that gives a little idea. The sound's not great on that, but that gives you a little idea of some of the activities the children were doing and how they were sharing that with us in the family learning team. So I think that covers everything.
Great, thanks so much, Claire. I've really enjoyed working with the family learning team and seeing all the amazing things you've been up to, and I can't wait to hear how your online Young STEM Leader group goes in the next few weeks. So thanks again. Another great example of how the non-formal award is being delivered, and particularly relevant during the current situation with young STEM leaders leading learning at home with their families. So thanks again, Claire. Next up, we have Tanya Howden, who is the Digital Education Programme Manager at Hearts of Midlothian, who is going to tell you about what they've been up to and delivering the YSL2, I think. So it's over to you, Tanya.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. So hi, everyone. So as we've just heard, I'm the Digital Education Programme Manager for Hearts. So you might be thinking that's a bit random that a football club are taking part in anything to do with STEM or digital education, but I'll actually explain a little bit about why we do it. So I'm part of the community team at Hearts. Every single football club does a lot of community work and supports those who live nearby and all of their supporters. One strand of our community work is actually in digital education. So we all know that a lot of our jobs in the future and currently have some kind of digital skill that's needed. So we run a lot of clubs and programs that are open to young people in the area to come along and learn about digital and tech and STEM in it's a cool environment. I mean, I'm a bit biased. So usually we would run at the stadium, the kids would come along and they learn all about technology. So the unique thing that I've found for me anyway is that the young people we have coming along are not necessarily already engaged in STEM subjects at school. We have a lot of kids coming along who are there because it's a football club, it's their team, or they're just intrigued about what on earth is going on. So when they come in, we use the element of sport as a gateway to show them how sport and technology do go hand in hand. So you might think about things like goal line technology, or how we capture data on every single football player that helps us to make decisions for future games, hopefully making better decisions and winning more games. So through that, it kind of ties young people's interests into STEM, which kind of opens their mind then to exploring it a little bit more. So we've seen young people come back for things like our robotics club or an app development club where they come along, work in teams and design an app to change the world. So there's a lot of different themes happening. So we decided to get involved in the Young STEM Leader programme. I think it was last July I started the training. And at the time, I kind of assumed that we'd be back to in-person learning by winter time. We'd been running everything online, which was great that we were able to do something, but I had hoped we'd be in person to try out Young STEM Leader for the first time, just because of the way we were set up. So unlike a school, we don't have that kind of scheduled regular contact with young people necessarily. We have contact through our programs when they come along, but not like in a school environment where you see them at the same time every week in class. So I started off by testing the program a little bit with a couple of young people who were regulars at our club. I knew them really well, and they were interested in helping me kind of test out the program, if you like, trying to work out how would we deliver this normally in the stadium or online if that's what we had to do. So it was really hard, I'm not gonna lie, because we didn't have that regular kind of contact time. It was kind of just random messages here and there on Google Classroom, on Teams, sending screenshots of what do you think about this idea. And also, I think the time we started doing it, so it was about October, November time we initially started talking to them about it. They were really struggling with kind of managing school workload and balancing that with what they wanted to do outside of school time. So they had less time available basically to look at this with me, which was absolutely understandable. But we are starting to see results, which I'm so excited about. On the slide that I'm sharing, you can see a picture of one of the posters that one of our Young STEM leaders has put together. So he is a coder through and through. Like, he loves nothing more than to come in, sit down at his computer and code away and talk about whatever he's doing. But a lot of his friends aren't into coding, they maybe don't see the appeal. So he wanted to create this poster to kind of show why STEM subjects and why a career in STEM is exciting. And I really love that he's tied in a lot of modern and really important themes that are popping up right now, like vaccine researcher or bringing in Among Us, which is a really popular game right now. And he's managed to kind of get across some of the really cool jobs that are out there that you might not necessarily think is a job. So we've started to get small things like that happening, which I've been so happy with. And coming from someone who, I'm not a trained teacher, so it has been a bit of a learning curve to take the resources and work out how we're going to do it alongside the programs that we already have was a challenge. But everything that is there is really friendly to get started with. And I'm really glad that I started with a smaller group, because it meant that we could kind of have more focus one-to-one working through things and kind of go through the challenges. And it has been so fascinating to hear what the different stereotypes are that young people think there are in STEM. A lot of them are the same as like what I guessed, but there were loads popping up that I just didn't think of, like things like wearing glasses or like dressing a certain way. I don't know, I didn't think of that, and I thought it was great to have that conversation happening between them. And also they then were having that conversation with like their friends or their family. Quite a few of them have got like their parents involved, which has been great, because usually parents can be left out of the kind of STEM chat. We have a lot of parents who come along to our programs and they want to see what the kids are working on. So maybe 1 week when they come in, the kids will be designing their own goal line technology, and they kind of want to get an idea of what they're doing and how it works. So it's been really nice to see that there has been that parent interaction as well and support coming through. So going forward, I kind of knew that we had to start doing something online, because it doesn't look like things are changing that quickly. I hope they do change soon, but definitely online learning is going to be what we're going to be doing for quite a while. We don't have the same essential reason to open like a school, so although schools were open for some time last year, we were still delivering online. All of our after school coding clubs were all online using Microsoft Teams and Google Classrooms. So we launched this Digital Champions Coolest Projects Club. And the idea behind that is just to provide a space for young people who have maybe come to one of our programs before. So maybe they've come to our app club, they've built an app prototype with a team, but they're hungry to find out more, or they want to find out more about other areas of STEM if they want to learn how to build a website. So this club meets every Friday during term time, and we come together and we talk about all of our like big crazy questions and projects we would love to build. One young person last Friday was talking about if there was a way for us to talk to like space, and that blew my mind because I was like, I don't see why not. I'm sure we could find a way to do something like that. So it's getting them to think big, and I thought this would be the perfect platform for us to integrate the Young STEM Leader into. So I mentioned it to them last Friday, and we kind of spoke a little bit about what the program was, and they were so excited because they all have this interest and they all get along in that sense. They wanted to have a shared way of sharing their passion and their love for the subject with other people, like friends, family, people at school. So they were really up for trying something and trying to do this. So I'm hoping that every week we meet for like the first 15-20 minutes, we'll spend doing Young STEM Leader activities, talking about whatever discussion points come up, and then they have time to go away and fill out part of their logbook and think about what they want to do, as well as having that space that's regular that I can actually speak to them live. So hopefully, it's hard to tell how that's going to go right now, but I'm feeling really positive. We've got a really enthusiastic group of young people who I think will try their hardest. So that's what's next for us. I'm hoping we'll have some like Twitter takeovers. We're looking to get lots of industry mentors coming along to speak to the kids. Hopefully they'll get some interviewing of them happening, might create some videos or animations to help spread the word. But we're still at the very early stage, which I think is quite fun because we're still learning, we're still making mistakes. And I think that aspect of making mistakes has been really nice for the young people to kind of see happening from an adult as well. Like I've openly admitted to some of them that I'm not 100% sure I know what I'm doing, and we might make mistakes along the way and I don't know all the answers. And that is perfectly fine, because I think young people are always worried about asking questions or admitting they don't know what's going on. When we're all the same, we just don't always admit it. So I think it's going to be a great platform to start doing that, and hopefully they'll then go back to their schools, and if their schools aren't engaged in Young STEM Leader, hopefully that gives them that connection and they can start doing that. But yeah, thank you for listening. I'm sorry I don't have as much to share as other people because we are so early in the journey, but yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes.
I think it's so fascinating to hear. It's such an interesting and unique context to be delivering the award in. So good luck, and let us know how we can help going forward. But I'm really excited. I loved how you finished that, because STEM is all about being curious and asking questions, and lots of good things happen when you don't know the answer. So good luck to your Young STEM Leaders. Okay, last up we have Eileen McLeod, who is teacher of ASN at Charleston Academy in Inverness, and also is another one of our RTAVs. So if you're based in Inverness surrounding area or the Northern Alliance, then you might become more familiar with Eileen going forward. So over to you, Eileen, our last speaker.
Okay, thanks, Jamie. So yeah, like Jamie says, I'm based up at Charleston Academy, which is in Inverness, and I'm also an RTAV. We're a secondary school of about 750 pupils, and so far it's usually myself and my colleague Dave, who's a physics teacher, and we run a STEM club and try and promote things like that as much as we possibly can in the school. But I'm also an ASN teacher. How we're running things at the moment is we have a STEM club that's open to everybody, and on that we post challenges, but we also extract some young people who have literacy difficulties, so they might still be working at level 1, and it doesn't make sense for them at the moment to do French or Gaelic, so we take them out of the timetable and we do like lots of mini projects with them. So before we were doing the Young STEM Leader, we did a Royal Academy of Engineering wheelchair racers project and things. So they've got a sort of background of doing the STEM projects that have led them into this. We try and make sure there's no barriers. So we've got the extracted pupils as well as the STEM club. We think it's important that anyone can access it, because I've worked in previous settings where kids were sort of cherry picked to do STEM, and it just means that other people think it's not for them. So that's sort of why we've gone down that route. and we've been delivering it through Google Classroom. So up in the Highlands, we're really fortunate that all our young people have Chromebooks, and we had been using Google Meet and Google Delivery before the pandemic. So we can post tasks for them, we can have Google Meets. I've run Google Meets for them in the evening, and they join in and take part that way. So I'll just get this to move on. Oh, there we go. So this is a logo that some of the pupils designed, and they each contributed their own little part to it. So just move on from there. So this one is about getting set up. So things that I found really useful when I started the programme were the resources section of the website. So if you go into that, there's lots of stuff that can help you. And just at the bottom there, I've put the sort of parts that I've found the most useful so far in our journey have been the TA resources section. And under there, you've got the YSL2 non-formal, and there's the 3 and the 4. And in there, there's also support notes. So if you download them and have a look at them, they're really, really useful for taking you through everything step by step. And then in addition, there's the activity pack, which has, when you're reading through the support notes, you might see something referenced, like with the 6 years, they were doing the back-to-back drawing exercise. But if you go into the activity pack, you'll find some extra resources there that can help you with that one. And so this is an example of a task that I've delivered for the for the non-formal levels. So I've tried to break it down, simplify the language, and fragment it so that it's simple steps. Also because we're posting this task and the pupils don't always have us there with them to do it. It's got to be really user-friendly and easy for them to interact with. So if I move it on, this is another one. This one was to make a video for the Discover task. And also what I've tried to do is make it as open-ended as possible so that I'm not putting restrictions on them. And then also change the mediums that they can produce things in. So they do things like produce posters, videos, presentations. So yeah, and for the first task, this is just some examples of what people have produced. So the one on the left is a piece of work from my little group that I extract. And the one on the right is from our STEM club. And you can see the difference, that the one on the right, there's a lot more text, but they both meet the like remit of the task. They both manage to complete it and achieve it. It's just they're doing that at their own levels. So yeah, and I think we've got another one as well that was for the same task there. So here, and then so recording the evidence, because we do it on Google Classroom, they can upload their own evidence to the classroom. So either I take a picture of it or they take a picture and send it in, and they can upload the files just so that there's a record of it, because we found that really useful so far. And also, this is another example. This picture here was where we had our sixes, our formal level pupils, came and worked with the ASM pupils, and they helped the ASM pupils to produce the posters that are down the bottom here. And the 6 years then collated that and put it up on a display wall. So yeah, that was another example. And then the other things as well is just like sharing your what you do on social media wherever possible. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Eileen. Again, another example of how the non-formal levels are being delivered in a completely different way. It's nice to hear from 4 kind of unique settings and centres. So thanks again to all of our speakers. We've got some time left just now for questions. So if you have any questions for our panelists, then you can either pop them in the chat, so type in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and unmute your mic and ask them using your voice. It's totally up to you, but I'm sure our panelists would love to hear any questions you might have, or even just thoughts or ideas that you have about your own delivery. And I've got some questions if no one else puts theirs in as well. Actually, maybe I'll just start with one of my questions and let people think of their own to pop in the chat. But I've got one for you, Claire. So we've got a lot of families who are, a lot of centres who are looking to have young people, young leaders leading with their families, for example, especially during lockdown. Do you have any kind of particular tips about how to make the programme accessible for families that might be helping with young leader, or they might be the audience and helping to support young people remotely? I don't know if Claire's still with us. I don't know if any of the other panelists want to answer that question. Anita, I'm going to call on you, or Tanya. You've unmuted your mic. Whoever wants to go first.
After you, Anita.
Yes, that's a good question, Jamie, because I was really looking forward to Claire's answer. Yeah, what she's going to say, because that's what I was thinking about, you know, like somehow creating wee packs, or even ask the young STEM leaders to think about. I really like that lemon volcano thing. I just put it on the chat, something very, very easy that the young STEM leaders can think along.
Sure.
They can, yeah, which they
Sorry,
can.
my screen had frozen and I could hear you all, but I couldn't do anything. Sorry.
It's all right.
I'm giving that to the expert then, Claire. Thank you.
We're just thinking about ways that, or tips for tutor assessors who might be engaging with families in a kind of different way than they're used to. I mean, lots of young STEM leaders will be leading with their families now, just because of the situation, but they don't have such amazing provision as you guys have in North Ayrshire. So do you have any tips for engaging with families and making young STEM leader accessible?
Yeah, I mean, I think that keep in touch with families. The phone calls were particularly beneficial because even if we normally work with families in schools, it can be big crowds. So it was a good opportunity to have that kind of one-to-one conversation. I think it's keeping it really simple. We did the air power cars. Now that just was an absolute disaster when we did that, and it seemed really simple, but trying to get the wheels perfectly circular, and it took 3 weeks or something to do that with the first years. So it's just finding really simple activities that are also quite exciting to promote conversation, and just really ensuring that the parents have an understanding of what is expected of their child. So although the children are leading it, it's the parents kind of know what's happening as well.
Sure. Great. Thanks so much for that. That's really helpful.
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's fine. Does anyone have any other questions for any of our speakers? And Graham, feel free to jump in with any of your questions too. I've got a question for you as well, Tanya. So I'm quite interested in your kind of delivery model, and a couple of our other kind of community or youth work settings have found it quite hard to engage young people online, because especially when school is online, it can be quite hard to motivate them to do anything else beyond just kind of having fun or chatting. Is that something that you're seeing, a bit of online fatigue at all with your delivery?
Yeah, there definitely is. It comes in like waves. So usually if there's been like the weekend, we'll see a wave of activity on like Google Classrooms or something. But it's actually been pretty constant overall. Like when it comes to getting people registered to come along to our programs, we've not had any problems. The like want is still there to keep doing these kind of clubs and meet people from like other schools as well, especially right now because a lot of young people aren't getting out and meeting a lot of people. So something like a community centre is really nice because you do meet people outside of your bubble online.
Sure. Yeah. Great. Thanks so much. Does anyone have any more questions for our panelists before we move on? No. Great, that's okay. Don't worry about it. You can always follow up with an email or something like that if you do have any questions. So we don't have a huge amount of time left. So I'm actually just going to leave this, instead of doing a breakout task, I'm actually going to do this last part as a bit of a reflection, just to kind of finish up. So I'm posting a link in the chat just now to an ideas board. So this is a kind of online post-it note board that you can use to kind of post your thoughts. If you do want to add a post-it to any of our columns, you just click the little plus button. And that'll make a little post-it that you can type into if you're on a computer. I think it works on a phone too, but I've not tried it. And we're really just thinking about three things just to finish off. You know, how are you delivering Young STEM Leader? You might want to think about the age or stage you're delivering with, what levels you're delivering. Are there any barriers right now to you being able to deliver the program? You know, is it online learning? Is it, you know, online fatigue? Is it finding a space in the timetable? Is it getting any young people to engage with STEM? And what support do you need? So how can we at CERC help you? How can your local authority or other people around you help you? And what do you need to be able to start delivering or deliver the program more effectively, or improve how you are delivering the program? So I'll just maybe give us 2 minutes just to kind of like fill that in, add post-it notes if you like, or you can just watch the post-it notes come in, and then we'll finish up in a couple of minutes time. So just take a minute to reflect, jot your ideas, links in the chat, and I'll join you again in 2 minutes. Okay, there's lots of great stuff being posted on there already. Please keep posting now and after the session as well. I'm just going to wrap things up here. What I'll do after the session is I'll summarize all of these and I'll send them out to on Basecamp, and I'll post it on Twitter as well for all of you to look at. And if there are any specific areas that you think you would need support in that we can help with, or we can help you put in touch with people, then please do let us know. I'm seeing a lot here about people meeting on Teams and Google Meet, and that's still happening, which is really great to see. And there's lots of issues around devices, getting people to engage as an extracurricular, and being able to use resources in the online log independently. And these are all things we're hoping that we can improve. But if you've got any feedback or anything like that for us, then do let us know. Now, I wanted to point you to a few other events that are coming up that might help you further with Young STEM Leader. The next Tutor Assessor Connections is going to be on Monday, the 15th of March. That's bookable on our website now from 4 till 5 p.m. That's all about how Young STEM Leader is being delivered in your area, making local connections, and we'll introduce you to our RTAVs as well, who are tutor assessors who have an additional responsibility to promote the Young STEM Leader program and engage with tutor assessors in their area. So please do attend. It's going to be an exciting event. Upcoming as well, for those of you who are reaching the end of the award, you might be thinking, how do I go through verification and certification? Well, do not fear, we've got some verification and certification webinars coming up. This Thursday, we've got a non-formal verification and certification webinar, and on the 25th of February, we've got the formal version. That'll be a half an hour taking you through the process. How do you do verification? How do you do certification? And then there'll be 30 minutes at the end for Q&A. Again, these will be recorded if you can't make them, but I'd encourage you to come along if you can make it. We also have regular drop-in sessions as well, which is a chance for myself and my colleagues. We'll just be there. You can come on, have a chat with us, ask us questions, tell us your thoughts and feelings about Young STEM Leader, or complain or rant about online learning. Any of that is fine. You can come along to our drop-ins. Again, all of these are bookable on the Young STEM Leader website, and the next one's on Tuesday, the 9th of March. From our other colleagues at CERC, this is the final thing, the CERC Early Years and Primary team run some fantastic events called CERC Meets, which are professional learning opportunities. I believe they're only open to early years and primary practitioners within schools at the moment, but these are these particular CERC Meets, you have to apply for them, but they are free, funded by the Scottish Government. You get a resource kit delivered to your school or home, and you can participate in this engaging professional learning online. We've got lots of spaces available on Wednesday the 3rd of March for Teddy in the Park, which is focused on the materials, experiences and outcomes for early years and first level. And we've also got another event on Tuesday the 9th of March, all about science inquiry skills, so it's about fair testing. So you can book those on the CERC website. I'll just quickly show you where to go on the CERC website. It's cerc.org.uk. If you just click under CLPL, go to the calendar, and you'll be able to see those early years and primary events in orange if you fancy it. Okay, so that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed today's Tutor Assessor Connections session. It will be recorded and put online so you can revisit it, and I'll forward you the information from the idea boards. So thanks again, and I hope you have a good evening.